David Otunga says, right, John Cena buried the Nexus. Now we already know he buried the Nexus. Like we already know this. But it's the fact that John is on his retirement run, his like retirement tour. Literally had his last match in Madison Square Garden last night. He's gonna have his last Survivor Series in like what, a week, 2 weeks, whenever it's gonna happen. And then he's gonna have his last match, Saturday night's main event next month. So it's like it's ironic how this just comes out of nowhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like niggas just he's trying to level the playing field. He's trying to be petty, on some weird shit.
So do you think the push just came to a complete screeching halt because of SummerSlam 2010?
Yes. Yeah.
So like the narrative is Cena buried the Nexus.
Yes.
Do you think that's true?
Oh yeah. That's 100% accurate. I mean, that's what happened. That is what happened.
Is it because Cena wanted to go over in that match?
Yeah. Yes. And I don't know why he wanted to go over.
I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe because like I'm the breadwinner, I'm the top guy. Been here as the bar holder, the brass ring carrier for like how many years? Why would I want to lose to a bunch of just nobodies in the company? I wonder. Plus, it was during a time period when politics were still in play. Politics were still in play back then.
But like we knew all day we were supposed to go over, and then things started getting weird, and then they tell us no, the finish changed, and it's because John, wanted to go over, and we weren't happy about that. The other guys in the match weren't happy about that, and if I'm being honest, I think John probably knows that wasn't the right idea. I mean, maybe that obviously at the time he thought that was the right call, but in retrospect, I don't even think he would agree that that was the right thing to do.
So what was the finish supposed to be?
I know we were supposed to go over. I don't know how many.
Wade Barrett wins?
Yeah, I'm assuming. I don't know how many of us there were, but there were some shenanigans. But we went over. Yeah.
Because Cena, for those that don't remember, Cena takes a DDT to the exposed concrete on the outside from Wade Barrett. And then he goes back into the ring. It's 2-on-1 at this point, right?
I believe
he ends up beating both of those guys and winning the match.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But either way, I mean, you spend 6 months or however it was building this faction, and we're the strongest thing. We're the hottest thing they have. And then now, why would you have us lose? And this is the main event. Like, to really build these new stars, you want us to keep going. We could have rode this all the way to Mania, but then after that, we've now lost, and that, took us down a few pegs. And then after that, we never regained the steam. They ended up separating us. And even then, they started to have a good storyline going where, we were going to oust Wade Barrett, and I was going to take over. Like, I remember I kicked him out of the group. I think it was...
I remember that too. But then they transitioned that into CM Punk taking care of the Nexus and making a new Nexus. And then it really wasn't the same then. It really wasn't the same. You thought it was bad, you thought it was bad Cena burying like regular Nexus, and then new Nexus gets buried by Cena and fucking Orton and just anybody else that got near it. And we're not even gonna mention the core, like
Raw. And then the next week I was supposed to then become the leader. However, then hey, surprise guys, we got a new leader for you. What? CM Punk. Wait.
See?
What? Who? How does this fit in? And I guess he needed
for the time period. Who?
A faction. Straight Edge Society was done, and he, needed a new faction. So I don't know why they decided just to give him Nexus. So then,
because this was like the time period where Vince was starting to have his weird wackadoo ideas, and putting Punk under like new Nexus leadership and everything. He saw how good he did with the Straight Edge Society, so he said, you know what, we're gonna put you here and see if you can do wonders with that. That's literally his mindset. He runs things back over and over and over again, just with like a different ingredients. It's like Taco Bell. There's like different ingredients,
The storyline that we had going just stopped, and now we're the new Nexus with CM Punk, which, it never really took off, I think, because it was a disconnect for the fans too.
Wade Barrett said that before that SummerSlam match, Vince basically told him, we need the fans to be sent home happy. Like, SummerSlam needs to have a happy ending.
I've heard that before too, because I know like on house shows they would do that, is have the baby face up like at the end,
Yeah.
but not necessarily on pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe that did come into play and they thought about that, but that still wasn't the right idea. I mean, that's like, winning the battle but losing the war ultimately.
Yeah. So where would Nexus have gone from there had you guys won that match?
I think we would have had a major run, kind of like the Shield, because if you ask me, I feel like the Shield was Nexus 2.0. Like what they did with the Shield, everything they did wrong in Nexus, they made sure they did it right with the Shield. That's
At least later on, because the fans were gravitating towards them. Then obviously they turned babyface and everything, and yada yada yada. Because initially people didn't really have hopes for them. Like let's be real, people didn't have hopes for them.
my opinion. So I assume we would have had a run kind of similar to that.
It's funny because when Seth Rollins was on the show, I said, what was the original idea for the Shield? And he's like, we were just like supposed to be out there beating up people for CM Punk. And I'm like, it's so right. Like people don't remember the original part was just them like beating people up for Punk.
Yeah.
And then it turned into its own thing. And it took on a life of its own. But it seems that like with the way that things went with SummerSlam, Nexus just kind of just like fell apart from there.
Yeah, it really did. Never recovered from that. It never was what it should have been, which is unfortunate.
Like, yeah, it's a damn shame. We missed out on Otunga being. We missed out on Tunga's prime. We missed out on Wade's prime. He had some good stuff afterwards and shit, but obviously he never panned out to be this main event caliber star that he should have been and could have been, which is very unfortunate. But stuff happens, and again, for the time period, them using politics to get their way and all this shit, it's whatever, bro. Like, you can't take a time machine, go back and smack Cena in the face, like, or smack Vince in the fucking face. Like, you can't take a time machine. You could just only move forward and hope that they don't make the same mistakes again, which even afterwards, they still were making bad decisions. New Nexus, tons of other factions. League of Nations, oh my gosh. League of Nations.
But there's so much promise. And they had the core and the Nexus. And then even that, like, eventually we should have had like one giant end-all be-all match or something like that we never did. So
we're thrillionaires, so we know thrills.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was waiting for that too. I was waiting for that
like
new Nexus versus Core match, but like you said, that never happened.